the calendar right along, okay? The Honorable Robert Odekirk presiding. Tonight, our invocation will be given by the Reverend David Jaspers of the Ridgewood Baptist Church, 1968 Hillcrest Road, after which he will lead us into the pledge. So please stand.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for the privilege of living in a free country. Thankful for this holiday season as we are reminded to have hearts that are overflowing with gratitude for the many, many good things that we have. Thank you for our city. Thank you for our mayor and his strong leadership. And thank you for all of these council members and their dedication to our city. Thank you for a forum where the voices of our people are heard and respected. And I pray that tonight's meeting would be blessed with unity and clarity and decisiveness. And I pray for peace in our city and prosperity and for all of your blessings. So tonight, we pause and we give you praise for who you are and all the good gifts you give to us. For we ask this in the name of your Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Shall we pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
No.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Dickinson.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Here.
Councilman Turk.
Here.
First on the agenda is a proclamation regarding National Homeless Persons Memorial Day. Minister Mary E. White is here to accept.
Mayor and Council, we have really a wonderful, thoughtful proclamation here recognizing the National Coalition for Homelessness. And, you know, really homelessness anymore, you know, doesn't just touch those people, really touches all of our lives. And I'm sure that, you know, we've either seen it or had relatives that have experienced homelessness. And we just want to recognize you and your organization today for all the good work that you do. Particularly in the city of Joliet and recognizing its problem and helping to solve, you know, the homelessness problem. So thank you so much for coming down. I'll read the proclamation here by the Mayor and City Council. Whereas the National Coalition for Homelessness is a national network of people who work to prevent and end homelessness while ensuring the immediate needs of those experiencing homelessness are met and their civil rights are protected. The coalition programs are centered around public education, policy advocacy, and grassroots organizing, and are focused on the issue of housing justice, economic justice, healthcare justice, and civil rights. Each year since 1990, on or near December 21st, which is the first day of winter and the longest night of the year, the National Coalition for the Homeless has sponsored the National Homeless Persons Memorial Day to bring attention to the tragedy of homelessness and to remember our homeless friends who have passed away. For the fourth year, Minister Mary E. White, Paraclete Ministries, has held a memorial service for the homeless who have died in the city of Joliet over the past year. In partnership with Coach Lee, Noah Center, Frankie Washington, Outreach Coordinator, Noah Center, Marilyn Farmer, Morning Star Mission Ministries, Catholic Charities, and Prophetess Evangelist Ora Holloway, Igniting the Fire Prayer Ministry, and Boot on the Ground. This year's longest night homeless memorial service will be held on Thursday, December 21st, 2017 at 7 p.m. at the Morning Star Ministries Drop-In Center located at 350 East Washington Street, Joliet, Illinois. Now therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby proclaim December 21st as National Homeless Persons Memorial.
Thank you so very much. The only thing that I do want to say is that we really appreciate you acknowledging this. And Mayor Odekirk, I have brought you, just for appreciation, a little book that I've written. I brought you the prayer that we prayed for you and every worker in the city of Joliet at guarding city, state, and national gates through prayer. And I also brought you a personal invitation to the Longest Night at Morning Star mission, and for you to say a few words. And I also brought my city councilman an invitation as well.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Next, we have a proclamation honoring First Presbyterian Church for their 150th anniversary.
Hi, Reverend Craig. Her. Yes. I always get that mixed up.
That's all right.
All right, 150 years here in the city of Joliet. Proclamation. Whereas First Presbyterian Church of Joliet was first established in 1834, meetings were held at the first proprietor of West Joliet, Mr. Demon's house, consisting of 15 or 20 people, when at the time the population of the city of Joliet did not exceed 50. Whereas after due and prayerful consideration on August 3rd, 1866, the First Presbyterian Church of Joliet was officially organized by the Reverend J.H. Trowbridge of Chicago at the house of H.N. Nash with founding member George H. Woodruff. Divine services were held at the courthouse. On December 22nd, 1867, the first church building was built at the corner of Broadway and Western. In 1925, a new church facility was completed at the corner of Western and Rayner Avenues. The congregation has grown, and the church has since then added many upgrades to its original building. First Presbyterian Church is currently a congregation of over 750 members who are called to be servants of Jesus Christ. The members seek the vision and courage to minister to one another, our community, and our world. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, congratulate First Presbyterian Church on their 150th anniversary celebration and thank them for the years of commitment to love and service through life, ministry, and mission. And it is signed by Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet. Congratulations. Say a few words and let them know where the rest of the congregation is tonight.
Yes, the rest of our folks where I'll be going are at worship tonight with four other churches, Herb Brooks Church, for Thanksgiving. So that's why I'm here, and we'll be joining them and bringing news from you. Thank you so much. We are honored to have this proclamation. The country is only 91 years older than the founding of our church. So we're happy to be here and hope we'll be here for another 150 years to serve the community. Those who are in need, to celebrate, and we thank the city for all the good things you've done for our neighborhood and our area and where our church is, and we're grateful. Thank you very much, Mayor Odekirk.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's also my neighbor.
Jan, I was gonna thank the Reverend for sticking it out and staying with Joliet, even with that one challenging neighbor you have. You stayed with us.
and we survived. We thank you for the new water and gas lines on Glenwood where I live.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor.
Congratulations.
Will you make another 150 years?
I might.
Next is a proclamation honoring M.J. Cunningham Elementary School, starting City of Joliet's annual holiday festivities.
Could I get the kids from Cunningham up here?
Hey, guys.
Is the principal here, or? Okay, come on over. Okay, Cunningham Elementary School was selected to start the holiday season by the lighting of the Christmas tree this year. I have a proclamation from the City of Joliet. M.J. Cunningham Elementary School is part of the Joliet Public School District 86. District 86 is the fourth largest elementary school district in the state of Illinois, led by Superintendent Dr. Teresa Rouse. Currently, 11,551 students attend one of the 21 District 86 schools in the city of Joliet. Cunningham Elementary is home to 580 students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade and is known as the Colonel Kids. Second and third grade students from Cunningham proposed popcorn as Illinois official state snack. The Illinois General Assembly approved the recommendation in 2003. Popcorn is now the official state snack in Illinois. Cunningham Elementary School was selected to start the holiday season in the city of Joliet by lighting the city's Christmas tree. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, would like to congratulate Cunningham Elementary School for accepting the honor to start the City of Joliet's annual holiday festivities. Signed, Mayor Robert Odekirk, Joliet.
Thank you, Mayor Odekirk. Thank you, City Council, for this tremendous honor. We're excited to participate in this great tradition. These students represent Cunningham's diversity, perseverance, and commitment to peace and kindness and achievement. And I know they're also thrilled, especially Jackson. He's super thrilled. So once again, thank you for this honor, and we're excited to participate.
Dress warm. Thank you, Doctor.
So I need to see a lot of teeth. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you guys smell bigger than that. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, guys. Thank you.
Hey, John, how are you? Thanks, guys. See you Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Congratulations, great job.
Next is a proclamation honoring Alfonso Saucedo for his Hurricane Irma relief efforts.
Thank you. Alfonso Saucedo, you may be the fourth tonight in the proclamations.
but never in my 3 years here, 2.5 years here, have I seen or have I heard or had an opportunity to read a proclamation as what you did and made all of us here in the city of Joliet extremely proud of you. We all have opportunities to do the right thing, and you took it to the next level. You went well and beyond any need or desire that some of us have, and it's greatly appreciated, and I'm proud to say I'm from the same city that you're from. Proclamation. Whereas, while working NASCAR on Sunday, September 17th, 2017, Officer Mike O'Neill come in contact with the food vendors called Devar Foods, a Kraft Heinz company, who was passing out complimentary frozen meals to race fans. Whereas Officer O'Neill was informed by Devon Foods representative that they had approximately 10,000 meals of product left over at a value of approximately $24,000 and would be discarded. Officer O'Neill explained to the representative that he has a friend, Alfonso Saucedo, who owns Super Rio Grande Fresh Market, a local Joliet restaurant and grocery store that may want to take the frozen meals and was going to give and distribute them, Whereas within an hour, Alfonso Saucedo arrived at the Chicagoland Speedway with his refrigerated truck and loaded up the leftover frozen meals. Alfonso wanted to help people. He needed to know the perfect destination for the meals, Florida. All the folks who had faced the catastrophic Hurricane Irma. Whereas Alfonso immediately contacted FEMA, a representative, Gabriel Benigni, who determined that Florida City, Florida, was the needed the assistance due to the hurricane. That very same evening, without hesitation, Alfonso left Joliet, Illinois, and headed towards Florida to deliver the meals to those in need. Alfonso donated the 10,000 meals to the Florida City residents, many of whom had lost power and were without food. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of City of Joliet, at Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, does hereby recognize the action and the compassion of Alfonso Saucedo and congratulate him on a job well done and makes us all very proud of you. Thank you was also sent from the city of Florida City, thanking you for your kindness and thoughts of coming down there. I'd like to say a few words.
I'm actually speechless. Never been nervous to come to a council meeting. Wow. I gotta say it's God's will. I was watching the news that day when Mike O'Neill called me. And just before he called me, I was watching how bad Homestead South got hit by the hurricane. So many people actually living in camps, cardboard houses. I said, that doesn't happen here in the U.S. And the phone rang, Mike calls me. I went for the load and I says, I already know where it's going. I already know who needs it. I told Mike if it was okay. Mike said, do what you got to do with it. So I left to Florida, not expecting this in return, though. I just got to say thank you.
Thank you. Take you to drive to Florida.
What, 3 days? In a diesel truck's not the most comfortable thing. 3 days one way.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Odekirk appointments? None this evening. Approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. First, we have Lorianne Kloss.
My name is Lorianne. I came here today because of my love for this city and my love for animals. My passion for Joliet and my history goes way beyond myself growing up here. It goes back to 1868 when my great-great-grandfather Robert Pilcher first came to the city of Joliet. I don't know what he would think of this world in 2017, but I'd like to think that he would be proud that I spoke up today. My love for animals I've had since birth. 3 years ago, I decided to make a career change and get into the veterinary field. It was at my animal hospital that I first noticed that there was major health issues with the majority of animals that were purchased from local pet stores.
Could you speak into the mic so they can hear you?
Sure.
Thank you.
3 years ago, I decided to make a career change and get into the veterinary field. It was at my animal hospital that I first noticed that there was major health issues with the majority of the dogs that were purchased from a local pet store, and that includes furry babies. Collectively, the health and behavioral issues were so noticeable that I started investigating USDA numbers to find out where the dogs were coming from, and I was horrified by what I found. I am horrified by consumer fraud, puppy mills, and stores like Furry Babies that keep them in business. Many people will speak up for the dogs today. I'm actually here to speak up for the other victims of these stores and to talk about a situation that happened here in Joliet. My passion is bunnies. I've had them for 20 years, and I'm involved in rabbit organizations from coast to coast. The puppy mill stores that sell rabbits get them from rabbit mills, and just like the dogs, it's not about finding a good home or educating consumers. It's just about the money. There's a horrible epidemic in this country of people setting pet rabbits loose when they're no longer wanted. Pet rabbits cannot survive outside in the wild. In the cities where this is an epidemic or a pattern, you don't have to look very hard to find the puppy mill store that's also selling rabbits, and in Joliet, that was at 1480 North Larkin Avenue. I'm talking about the store that was Petland and then Puppy in the Window. In the summer of 2016, I was alerted to rabbit dump on Dawes Avenue, 4 minutes, 1.5 miles from that store. Then I was back out to try and save another dumped bunny on Prairie, 5 minutes, 1.7 miles from that same store. Then I was back out to try and save more bunnies on Devonshire, 2 minutes, 0.7 miles, again, from that same store. I was first alerted to the rabbit dumps by a post in the Facebook group, You Know You're From Joliet If, and that led me to the neighborhood on Dawes and a situation that scarred me. A house in that neighborhood set 8 pet rabbits free. The neighbors didn't understand how much danger that they were in, and that time is a crucial factor. The ones that did recognize that they were pets called animal control. Animal control said they were too hard to catch, and they left them out there. By the time I found out about the situation, there was one left alive, and I was determined to save that last survivor. I called my rabbit group, we went out there, and we caught him. And I was ecstatic. We took a photo with our bunny, everybody grinning from ear to ear. That very quickly changed at the vet when we learned that we had been too late. The bunny was covered in ticks, which caused liver damage. There were abscesses behind his eyes, and his teeth were black from decay. His respiratory tract was heavily infected, and he was having trouble breathing on his own. He was in full GI stasis, which means that his digestive tract had completely stopped. How this pet had suffered was unimaginable. His quality of life was so poor, and he was not strong enough to withstand any treatments or procedures. So the vet recommended the gift of peace, and we said goodbye to the pet bunny that we had named Joliet. I don't have enough time. I think we only have 4 minutes. I can't tell you I can email you all the details of the rabbit from the second neighborhood with the huge cutarebra in her face, and the 2 from the third neighborhood, one of which we never found. I understand the logic in waiting for the Chicago ordinance to be settled, but if Joliet had passed the Companion Animal and Consumer Protection Ordinance proposed by Safe Pets for Joliet 2 years ago, there are 9 pets that would not be dead. 10, including Gracie from Furry Babies. And the time is now to pass a strong ordinance identical to Chicago's, Crest Hill, 300 other cities, and the state of California, because that is the one that includes dogs, cats, and rabbits, and it's what the 9 that suffered and died so horribly in this city deserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Adams.
Good evening. Last night I listened to Dr. Long speak about the mills and the ones that he has toured and how they look nothing like the pictures that we were shown last night. While I would never make a blanket statement regarding all mills looking like those pictures, that's not realistic. Most of them certainly do. As much as I'd like to believe what he saw as the norm, it's just simply not the case. I've seen the mills that were shown in the pictures yesterday firsthand. I've seen how the dogs are housed. I've heard the sounds coming from the mills. I've heard the dogs frantic in the small cages that they're kept in. I've smelled the horrific odor from the mill. I've had it on my clothes, burned in my nose, burned in my brain. It's just a smell I will never forget. The puppies are always whisked away as soon as possible to ship around the country, but the issue is truly with the mothers and fathers that remain in those conditions day in and day out. Those are the conditions that would make up the Humane Society's list of the horrible 100 mills. Mr. Abe Miller got up yesterday and spoke about how he cares for his pups from day one. A quick Google search last night took me maybe 10 minutes. I was educated further on this individual. In 2013, the Puppy Mill Project helped bring about a class action lawsuit. The lawsuit cites consumer fraud per Illinois law since it wasn't made clear to purchasers what the source of the puppies was. One of the central figures named in the suit was Abe Miller, a puppy mill magnate based in Fresno, Ohio, who is funneling puppies toward Chicago and many other cities. He now runs Quail Creek Kennel, formerly House of Pets and DML Kennel, which brokers deals directly with in-state and out-of-state buyers and sellers. Mr. Abe Miller was the licensed broker for Sadie, which was a Rottweiler puppy that was sold by a New Jersey pet store. Sadie was born on February 6th of 2016 and died on April 15th of 2016 after being diagnosed with parvovirus. This man has a history of USDA violations while operating under his two other business names, DML Kennel and House of Pets. Mr. Miller and his Quail Creek Kennel have appeared on the Humane Society Horrible 100 list. He's listed as a repeat offender. Is this who you really want to do business with, the city of Joliet? Thank you all.
Morgan Durdak.
Morgan Durdak, 802 Westminster Road. Thank you for allowing me to speak yet again on this issue. I've spent a lot of time over the last 3 years to make it to this point, and I've been focused on making the issue important to you. But let me tell you why it's important to me. I don't run a rescue. I'm not a breeder. I'm not competing with furry babies for business or profit. I'm not trying to make a name for myself. I hate being quoted in the newspaper. This room terrifies me. But here's why I do this. This is my dog Chopper. He was purchased at the Naperville Petland back in 2006, then given up 3 months later because his new owners couldn't handle the behavioral issues caused by the conditions in which he was bred and spent the first 6 months of his life. He's had health issues too, food allergies, chronic pancreatitis, bad joints due to his poor breeding. He's only got 1 ear now. Cancer took the other one. The training and vet care he's needed over the years have cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. But he's worth every penny because he's not just livestock in a cage or a product in a crib. He's my baby. And this is Reggie. He's one of the many puppy mill survivors that I fostered for rescue and adopted out. But Reggie's new owners couldn't handle the behavioral issues caused by the 6 years he'd spent as a breeding dog in a living hell, so he came back to me. 7 years later, he's still afraid of people. He doesn't want to be touched. He has to be sedated for grooming because the spray of water reminds him of how his cage was cleaned in the mill by power washing it with him in it. But every morning, Reggie comes into the bathroom with me and I sit on the floor and we play with his rope and he climbs on my knee and gives me a kiss on the lips. And I know that no matter what he's been through, he'll be safe and content for the rest of his life. And this is Truffle. I participated in her rescue from a puppy mill in Indiana this spring. She was one of 13 dogs seized. I briefly fostered 9 of the dogs until they could be transported to rescues. I was supposed to have 10, but one boy who we named Aiden died just hours before they were released to me. My mom made the trip to Indiana with me, and she fell for truffle, and now she's my little sister. She's still afraid of people and noises, and she still tries to eat her own feces because that's the only way she could keep her area clean in the puppy mill. But she's become a healthy and treasured part of our family, just like every dog deserves. So that's why I do this. For Chopper, Reggie, Truffle, and all the other dogs who are victims of this cruel industry. Because I know the facts, I have shared them with you, and I see the consequences of them every single day of my life. You know, just because something is legal doesn't mean it's right. In America, it was once legal to employ child labor. It was once legal to own slaves. It was once legal to deprive women of participation in the democratic process. So why did those things change? Because passionate people saw what was wrong and raised their voices, and brave leaders listened and acted. You have a lot of passionate people as constituents, and that's a fact you should be proud of. And we deserve brave leaders who act on our behalf. I hope that we do. I hope that I can be proud too. Thank you.
Peggy Grandal.
Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to start out very briefly. The mayor was kind enough to say that it would be all right to respond to a comment that was made late in the meeting yesterday about my presence at the Santa event at the Joliet Mall. For 2 Christmases, 2014 and 15, the rescue group I volunteered with was welcomed by the mall for the evenings when folks brought their animals to take Santa pictures. We always brought dogs. We brought a binder with pictures of the adoptables and candy canes for the kids. The rescue was a nonprofit and we appreciated every opportunity to promote adoption. We publicized it so that our prior adopters could come in and take photos with Santa. If someone was interested in any of our dogs, we'd have them follow up with us after the event to work together and hopefully create a happy ending. Not impulse adopting, because there's really no such thing, but I could totally understand how it might have looked on their side. We were showing those dogs to everyone who would look. We loved it. That's how rescues work. We try to meet people and create families. I wasn't part of the event again, simply because I was volunteering at a different rescue. I moved to one whose concentration was on service dogs for veterans suffering with PTSD. I'm back at the mall, actually. I think she said I wasn't at the mall or allowed at the mall. I'm back to the mall more often than I'd like since they opened the Cinnabon. Anyway, so this is hard. Dogs, they do so much for us. Search and rescue, finding lost children and earthquake victims, dogs in the military, bomb, drug, cancer-sniffing dogs, cadaver detection dogs, police canines, dogs alerting diabetics of low blood sugar, hospital therapy dogs, guide dogs, lost my place, sorry, emotional support dogs, PTSD service dogs, mobility assistance dogs, guide dogs for the blind, hearing dogs, seizure alert dogs. And not long ago, we saw the comfort dogs from our area, the golden retrievers, helping to bring healing to the survivors in Las Vegas. But then there's our dogs, the ones we grew up with when Dad finally said yes. They were our best pals, the ones we slipped the food to under the dinner table. And Mom made sure that walking the dog was our job, and maybe it was the first time we learned responsibility. We know it's a scientific fact that dogs are good for our health. They help us socially. We interact more with others when we have a dog. They give comfort and companionship, especially to the elderly. They are beside us at holidays. We celebrate their birthdays. We take them camping, hiking, dine with them in the outdoor cafes. We spend tax dollars to create dog parks. We buy them toys, treats, bones, special foods. And when the time comes, we cry into their fur when they get old and sick, and we have to say goodbye. But then, even after the pain of that loss, we welcome another dog into our lives. Dogs are family. They hold such an important place in our culture, and I feel they deserve better than being products for sale. They deserve better than that, and I think we can do better by them. But really, I wish with all of my heart that we could remember what this is really about. It's about dogs. dogs like Stevie. Bred by a puppy mill breeder, licensed by the USDA, sold by a store in a chain of pet stores, returned by the purchaser within days who realized he was deaf and sight impaired because the so-called breeder didn't care when they were creating by breeding two merle dogs together. It was all about the money. It's about that store that was ready to have him euthanized simply because he was deaf and sick with kennel cough that turned into pneumonia, like many pet store puppies. It's about that employee, that wonderful person at the pet store who wasn't going to let him die and found a way to get him into rescue. In the photo that I just showed you, we didn't know if he was going to make it. He could barely breathe. And it's about the miracle that happens when a dog like him receives vet care to get him healthy and he's nurtured, loved, and adopted by his foster mom. It's about the challenges that Stevie faces every day of his life because of people wanting to make a buck. And it's the love of his adopted mom who never, ever gave up on him. And this is Stevie, and this is Stevie today. He's 2 years old. He suffers from serious issues due to this evil business. He's on medication, but if that doesn't work, he's going to be yet another casualty of this industry. I have cried with Jamie, who adopted him. And I'll be by her side if we have to say goodbye to him. We will hold him close and tell him that we're sorry that we live in a world that allows this to happen, and we won't give up until being humane becomes more important than making money. And I beg of all of you here, each one of you, please don't let Joliet be part of that world. Puppies and dogs aren't products. They're our family. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Robert Hernandez.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm not running for any political office, and I have no intention of running for any political office. I don't work for fur babies, but in my family, and people who have known my family for many, many years, we've all had pets. I also had a pet rabbit when I was growing up. My first dog was a stray dog from the street that we picked up, and my parents and my brothers and cousins and aunts have all bought animals from the pet stores. When I got married in 1983, our first pet was a black cat from a pet store. Every pet that we purchased from a pet store had no health issues, had no psychological issues, and that's from 1982 to today. My brother just recently got his first dog from a shelter. All his other dogs were purchased at a pet store. And my brother took it hard when his dog, the Schnauzer, died a few months ago. It was very difficult for him. But he died of natural causes after 17 years. I just believe it's everybody's right to have a pro-choice of where they acquire their animal, whether it's a shelter, the Humane Society, or a pet store. That is our constitutional right to make that decision. I first heard of this issue about maybe a year and a half ago, and I didn't take it seriously because it was brought to my attention by former City Councilman Jim McFarland, but his only reasoning was for self-political purposes, and I don't involve myself in that. That was his only reason for pushing the issue, because he wanted to look good in the public's eye. And I'm not running for office, nor is any member of my family. I just believe it should be a pro-choice of each individual to make his or her decision as to where they want to acquire their animal. And again, you know, we heard the lady earlier who accepted the award for the homelessness. There are a lot of pressing issues in our city, and I love animals. Like I said, we've had them in our family all of our life, and we've treasured them. In fact, we have 2 animals buried out there in a cemetery on Farrell Road that my mom paid for. So we take our animals seriously. We treat them as members of the family. But I consider other issues more pressing, especially our homelessness, our children who are abused, who are neglected, and who are living in foster homes or and need a home. I think those are extremely important issues. And the city of Joliet, I'm not a one-issue person. If the city of Joliet, if I don't agree with a decision the city council makes, I don't say, well, now I'm gonna, you know, I don't like each and every one of you. I'm not a one-issue person. I think you've done a great job in bringing economic development to our city and making our city the city of champions that it truly is. Thank you.
Anna Saskik.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Anna Shoshkich. I'm the owner of Furry Babies Joliet, Inc. You will see scrolling as I speak to you this evening pictures of our breeders and where our puppies actually come from. You've received a lot of emails and a lot of horrible pictures that have been sent to you of places that do not exist and Furry Babies does not work with. So as you enjoy those pictures that are before you, I would like to go over a few things. I know you have a difficult decision to make tonight. We are all dog lovers. But going with Ordinance A does not close a single puppy mill. It will not make a difference. You will simply be allowing your constituents to take regulation away from them from a regulated source and go to the internet where nothing will be regulated for them. Also, by voting for Ordinance A, it would convert my store into a rescue. Let's use Alsep Nursery as an example. Alsep Nursery converted over to just rescue dogs and cats 3 years ago. Since then, they have adopted out 4,000 cats and dogs in 3 years. Even with those astonishing numbers, they are closing their doors as a rescue and cannot sustain to stay in business. To give you an idea, Furry Babies found 355 dogs' homes in 2016. That is a huge difference. I want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about my life as well. I believe that all dogs deserve loving homes. I am not anti-rescue. I would love for everyone to have their own choice of where they want to go. I have a cat that is from a breeder. I have 2 dogs from Furry Babies, and I also have a horse that I rescued. But most importantly, I have the choice to decide where I get my family member from. I would hope that you would extend that choice tonight to your constituents by voting for Ordinance B. Thank you for your time.
Laura Becchiola.
Hello. I'm here today because I have nothing but the utmost respect for your residents and voters who have been trying to push this ordinance through for the past 2 years. I'm also here because I think it's important that families get their new family member from reputable sources. When it comes to puppies, reputable breeders do not sell to pet stores. Pet stores like to carry AKC puppies to come off as if they were from good breeders. I checked the AKC website to verify this. When you go on their website and you go to find a dog, what pops up is their breeder referral search. They mention that they do not endorse or recommend breeders, but offer resources to locate breeders. The resources that they have are called the AKC Parent Clubs of America. So I took it upon myself to contact these parent clubs to seek their knowledge in this field. I specifically contacted parent clubs of the breeds found most in pet stores, which include the French Bulldog, the Pomeranian, the English Bulldog, the Shih Tzu, the Great Dane, and the Golden Retriever. And I do have copies of all these emails if anybody would like to see them. And what I said is, I'm writing to you today to get your stance on breeders selling puppies to pet stores. Currently in Joliet, Illinois, there's an ordinance trying to get passed to ban the commercial sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits to pet stores. My understanding is that responsible breeders do not engage in this practice. Would you be willing to give your opinion on this? So Dr. John Littles with the Bulldog Club of America said, Laura, my stance has always been that breeders should sell directly to prospective owners and homes. The responsible breeder views his puppies as extended members of his family and works to ensure that his puppies and offspring ends up in a caring environment. My greater concern is the proliferation of puppy mills that are only interested in money to raise puppies for pet shops to peddle. The American Shih Tzu Club goes, responsible breeders do not sell pet stores, and we tell people to never buy there. The Golden Retriever Club of America says conscientious breeders would never consider selling their puppies to pet stores. We do a large amount of work in researching pedigrees and attempt to produce the very best dogs we can. The dogs considered to be of breeding quality must meet the Golden Retriever standards set up by the GRCA and would be required to obtain clearances after undergoing much testing for health problems such as normal hips, elbows, heart, and annual eye exam done by certified veterinary experts in those fields. And then I also have responses from the Great Dane, Pomeranian, and French Bulldog clubs, and they all just sent me a part of their code of ethics, which they all have on their websites. So the responses I received were conclusive. Every single one of the breed parent club's stance was that reputable breeders do not sell their puppies to pet stores. You have to understand that these AKC parent clubs are experts in their breed. They are dedicated to them. They know what is best for the breed as a whole and will do everything in their power to make sure the breed becomes the best it can be. So I hope you understand that these are experts on the topic and they base their decisions on selling puppy not based on credit score, but based on their knowledge of the breed and doing what's best for their puppies. Please take the statements of your experts, your voters, and residents in consideration seriously. The only way to do right by them is to pass the Chicago Reflected Ordinance, which is version A. Having an ordinance based on USDA certification, which is version B, doesn't mean anything good. The only way to be a USDA certified breeder, the following must be true, and I have a copy of this as well from their website if anybody would like it. You cannot sell animals in face-to-face transactions. If you are a buyer, you could not go and visit them to get another puppy. There's no way to do that. And you also have to have more than 4 breeding females on your premises at all times, which means that you have to be a commercial breeding facility. These animals are not coming from loving homes, they're coming from mills. Not to discredit the vet that spoke yesterday, but he doesn't work with the Joliet furry babies, he works with the one in Fox Valley. And the commercial breeding facilities you saw were not the ones that furry babies and Joliet works with. Overall, I think it's best that Joliet follow the Chicago Reflected Ordinance, which is version A. And I do think everybody should have a chance to get whatever breed of dog you want. You just have to find yourself a responsible, reputable breeder. And it's very important, so thank you.
Nicole Ormsby.
Good evening, Councilman, Councilwoman. I'm not coming to you as a crazy dog mom or a crazy rescue person. I'm coming to you as a Joliet resident. The one thing that Joliet residents love is the businesses of Joliet. Businesses in Joliet are just what makes our town so great. We're all about, our local businesses and being proud of them. We're not proud of a business that's constantly lying. One thing that's constantly lying are pet stores. When we look at our pets, we look at family members. We don't look at, dollar signs and, I don't feel like having them anymore. I'm just going to drop them off at the shelter. They're our family. And the one thing that we love about our pets is that they're like our children. Yeah, I am a crazy dog mom. I'll admit it. And I am absolutely pro-rescue. But we just want you to look at our point of view when it comes to when we look at animals, that they're living beings. They're not just material. They're not dollar signs. They deserve to be treated as living beings, not dollar signs. And the one thing about Joliet, like I said, is that we're proud of businesses. And I know me, I've been here my whole entire life, and I'm proud to be a Joliet resident. I've always been proud. And I really want to continue it. And going against what we're fighting for would not make me a very proud resident. So I just want you to look at the fact that there's a lot of us animal lovers out there that are very proud to be Joliet residents, and this could change a lot of it. So thank you.
Roger Trollinger.
Mayor and council, after 3 years, I want to say thank you for this. Thank you for your time. I apologize for getting a little heated yesterday, but after 12 years, this is where I am. This is very emotional. There are emotions running wild, yet facts, not so much. I just want to keep it real brief and stick to some real factual numbers. A lot of people said that the bill that was passed was unenforceable, was unable to be produced and enforced by our state, yet the Senate passed it 56-0 and the House passed it 115-0. I'm sure you probably didn't have the time to read through this as it was many, many pages, but the 2 points I'd like for you to focus on is this prohibits pet stores from acquiring dogs and cats from sources that are not licensed by the USDA, if required, and have had a direct or critical non-compliant citation. At the end of the day, guys, I hate puppy mills more than the people to my left. Every time the word puppy mill is said, my name is brought up. The pet store is brought up. I wanted a law to where if anything were critical and direct, that means the dog was affected itself. This could be something as minor as a toenail that is too long. That would by law now prohibit me from buying a dog from that breeder, from that kennel for 2 years. We also keep hearing about this horrible 100 list, another number. Well, like this young lady spoke earlier, I looked for the HSUS 100 Great Breeders list. My Google search turned up nothing. The fact is, every 5 years, you can place every USDA kennel on this horrible 100 list because of the small number of USDA kennels. The pictures you saw today are of the horrible monster Abe Miller. The kennel you saw with the heated floors, with the tiled walls, with the electric indoor plumbing, with the massive fans, I ask you, does that look like a puppy mill? The 2 horrible pictures that were shown of years ago, are those horrible places? Yes, they are. Did I fire them immediately? Yes, I did, before this was a law. This is why we wanted this law to have an impact. We keep taking information from this group called the HSUS, Humane Society of the United States. Yet fact is they spend less than 1% of all money donated on actual shelters and dogs in Illinois. They do not own one shelter or rescue in the state of Illinois. Yet we keep holding this to high esteem as they are the governing body of what should dictate our minds. The gentleman started this meeting with prayer, and he said, "Thank you for our freedom. Please let us have the freedom to make a decision where you should buy your animal from. I'm an alcoholic of 13 years recovered. I don't think I should have the ability to tell you if you could not have a drink." Thank you for your time.
Penny Lavelle.
I did not write any script or any...
Speak in the microphone, please. Thank you.
I did not write any script or any plan of what I wanted to say. Basically, in my life, I have rescued a couple of dogs that have been wonderful pets that I have nurtured and lived with for many years and kept them until their time was due. I've also proceeded to buy and purchase my pets from pet stores. I've also bought some from Anna at different points, and I've had 3 of the most wonderful little pets I've ever owned. They've been healthy, they've been fine. She's been very good about instructing and informing you as what you need to do on the listings. I've had no issues, no problems with raising them. They're very good. Their health has been good. They've not had any medical issues. They're just normal pets. In my opinion, it should be up to each individual person to choose their desire, whether they would like to rescue, adopt, or purchase. And I have done both, so I'm on both sides of it. Either way is fine. It depends on the person's desire. And really, that was basically all I had for you, and I thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on an agenda item this evening?
Come forward, please.
Under public comments, did you want to speak now or?
Hi, my name is Tracy Ross. I'm a former employee of Furry Babies in the Prue location, which is no longer in business. Like many, I was not educated about puppy mills. I have so much to say, but will only share a portion of the horrific behind-the-scenes world of Furry Babies. As employees, there are required trainings, coaching us on how to respond to customers that ask questions such as, "This dog appears sick. What's wrong with it?" Our stock answer per training from Roger Trollinger was that these dogs were having just a mere reaction to vaccines. I don't know where to begin when talking about Furry Babies and the unethical business practices. It is common knowledge that Roger left on Mondays to all of us employees to drive to Ohio to pick up the hand-picked dogs from Abe Miller. He would come back on Tuesday, dogs dirty and covered in feces. Keep in mind, only the trusted employees work those days on Tuesdays. When they were ill, the staff would bring them home to try to keep them alive throughout the night. Many times that didn't work, and the puppies died. I began to question the origin of the dogs after observing the dogs coming in sick or having serious issues, including cleft palate, pneumonia, intestinal parasites, extremely small dogs, less than 2 pounds, and parvo. There was a Shar-Pei mix that appeared to be having labored breathing. I begged Roger's wife, Carrie, to bring the puppy to the vet. After repeatedly asking, she finally agreed and stated, "Fine, but I'm not giving you any gas money." I didn't care. At the vet's office, it was discovered the dog had pneumonia in 70% of its lungs. The dog was only a couple days old, or only had been there for a couple of days. The vet said to me that the dog will be dead in 2 days. Do you even want to try with this one? I stated that I did, and I brought the dog home to try to assist in its recovery. 2 days after the vet discovered the pneumonia, Carrie, Roger's wife, wanted me to put the dog on the floor for sale. I did as she said, and the minute she left, I took the dog and I put it back in the back, off the sales floor. That dog lived, and I purchased it. There were countless numbers of dogs that had kennel cough, sometimes every dog in the store. We had a box-type nebulizer machine of sorts that we put the dogs in the back. Again, we were instructed to lead the consumers to believe that when the dogs were lethargic, they were merely only having a reaction to their vaccines. We had an outbreak of parvo. One dog had an extremely bad case of diarrhea. Billy, who was the manager, ran a parvo test and it came up positive. I don't know what happened to that dog after that. However, the previous day, we had sold a puppy that shared a crib with that parvo dog. I asked Carrie if she was going to let the people that purchased that dog, that there was another dog that was sharing the crib that had parvo. She simply stated no, it's their fault they didn't get the puppy package. I started to research the disclosures to learn where the puppies came from. After searching names, I realized they did indeed sell dogs that were obtained from puppy mills. I was horrified that I was even a part of it, but I knew I had to have a job. I had sent an email to my supervisor and I quit Furry Babies after becoming physically ill. I filed for unemployment and Furry Babies appealed it, stating that I left voluntarily, which I did, but it was because of exactly what I'm sharing with you today. We had a hearing with an administrative judge. However, during that time, my father unexpectedly passed away and I was not mentally prepared for the hearing. The judge initially ruled in the challenger's favor. This year, I contacted the unemployment office and asked for a board of reviews hearing. I was awarded another hearing with a different judge. After being prepared this time and providing a wealth of information, including an article that ran on our local paper that I took part in, that clearly demonstrated the connection between Furry Babies and the puppy mills, and many cases of sick dogs being sold to unsuspecting customers, the judge ruled in my favor. The truth needs to be told. Furry Babies has a tendency to sue or threaten to sue people who have experienced their shady business practices. I'm not here as a bitter ex-employee. I left Furry Babies because of how they do business and that the business is wrong, and a judge agreed with me. I came here to Joliet.
4-minute mark, you wrap it up, please.
Okay, I'm almost done. I came here to Joliet because I don't want more people and animals to suffer because of Furry Babies. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? I don't. Sir in the back.
Well, my name is Jim Peterson. I have 2 dogs. One of them is a rescue. We rescued him from an alcoholic. We were the 3rd owners at 8 months old. Under horrible conditions, he was eating his own feces, and that we had horrible emotional issues after a while. But the other one we bought was our 3rd Keyshawn we bought from Anna at Furry Babies. We had problems with our 2nd one. What we found out was from Petland. We found out afterwards may have been puppy mill. She died at 5.5 years of small misshaped kidneys. So we researched where we were going to buy our dogs. We researched Anna. We found out she has an open notebook with all the breeders, with pictures of all of them, and she even showed us where our Keyshawn came from. She showed where the cages, everything. Since we bought our 3rd one, she has been contacting us constantly, asking us how we're doing. Petland never contacted us. I think if you're going to go after a pet store, you need to make sure that it is reputable. If they're going to go after them, they have to make sure that they are a puppy mill. They do get them from puppy mills. Anna may not be puppy mills. You have to go through and research. Actually, send people to those facilities. That's the only way you can make that kind of decision if she's getting those puppy mills or not. Her dogs, my dog is healthy. Piper we've gone to several different vets. The vet that we're supposed to, and then our vet. Clean bill of health, super healthy, nothing, no problems. And we love Anna. She's constantly making sure that everything's going right.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
My name is Arlie Youssef. I'm a 33-year retired employee of the United States Postal Service. A couple years ago, there was an article in a magazine, November 17th, about a place out in Colorado Springs in Peyton, Colorado called National Mill Dog Rescue. I was so intrigued by this article, this woman saving dogs. At that particular time, she'd rescued 7,000 dogs. I met her last year at a fundraiser the Puppy Mills had, the Puppy Mill project called Mothers of the Mills. It held the day before Mother's Day. So you think about those dogs that are bred at such a young age repeatedly, and they're bred till they can't be bred anymore. We've had dogs growing up, neighborhood dogs, a lady that was a nurse, she went away. We had a wire-haired terrier. We had a little puppy that was from a family in Chicago. My dad bought it for my mom, from a neighbor that had a litter. I got a dog. I fell in love with the Boston Terrier breed. My husband and I, at the age of 21, I'm 62 years old now, we got the dog from a breeder. I saw in the newspaper in Lombard, went to her house, met the mother and father, signed a contract with her, paid $307.50 that at any time she could come to my home in Westmont and see the dog. If the dog was mistreated, she had free will to take the dog back. I went, my son was 21, he's 29 now, he wanted to get a pet. He looked online, ended up going to a chain store. I walked into this chain store and I fell hook, line, and sinker for their story. I took out a $2,000 loan. The dog I got was a boxer, $1,200. I bought my food, my cage, my leash, everything at that store. I left it, came home. You have to have a contract signed by them within 72 hours to look at, quote unquote, their vet. The dog had kennel cough. I brought her home. Not 3 days later, I was in the kitchen. The dog would not even look at me. I took it to the vet. The vet tech came out and said, "Where did you purchase this dog? Did you purchase it from a store, private breeder?" I said, "I purchased it from a chain store. They had to pump that dog full of fluids because it was so dehydrated. It cost me $700 out of pocket, and they refused to reimburse me." So now that dog, 7 years old he started bleeding out. I was out of my mind. I would say keywords, Cody, Dad, Mom, he'd stand there. I took it to Arboretum View, which is a very good vet in Lisle, Illinois. It was 2 a.m. and they said the dog is bleeding out. He has this disease where his blood is eaten and he needs a blood transfusion. My husband was a very strong man from the Middle East, and to see him reduced to tears and them tell us at 2 a.m. he has a 50-50 chance to live, $6,700, and we'll take 75% of that right now, but it is a family member. I consider my dog my third child, and we did what we had to do. We took out a care loan and paid it off in a year. The dog was lucky enough to live another 3 years, but I will never purchase a dog from a pet store again. One of the board members from the Puppy Mill Project said to me, "Why don't you try fostering?" I've been at my new home in Darien 3 years. I fostered 4 dogs. They've come, stayed with me. I bought cages. Those dogs went on to different people. And the last dog I got, they called me up. I was fostering 2 Bostons. I got a phone call and they said, "Arla, we got a dog in Champaign." It came through Midwest Puppy Mill, Midwest Boston Terrier Rescue. She's 11 years old. The grandpa and grandma bought her from a breeder. The family can't keep her. I had her within about 5 days.
And you're at the 4-minute mark. You wrap it up,
okay,
please.
I'm almost done.
4 minutes.
So I just wanted to let you know that, please, you've given lots of information. Please review it and weigh your decision. And I'm very proud that I got up and spoke tonight, because when I got home yesterday, I didn't speak and I cried as I watched TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, I'm a board member of a rescue called Rescue Warriors Corp. I've fostered close to 100 dogs, if not over. I've lost count at this point. A lot of mill moms. I actually currently have a mill mom, but I was going to talk about the rescue and all the mill moms that I've fostered, but I'm just going to talk about my dogs. So my first dog that I fostered was a Mastiff that was actually breeder released. So he was using him for breeding. He no longer could breed him anymore. He wasn't fit for it or whatever the reason was, but he surrendered him to the rescue. He was crying when he'd walk. He was crying, any kind of movement, he'd cry. We took him to the vet. He was diagnosed with lumbar sclerosis disease. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Well, pretty much it's just the nerves in his spine would pinch when he would walk or move. So, and it's nothing that they can do about it. It's just something that he would have to live with, and we'd have to manage the pain. So he's constantly put on and off pain meds. We do physical therapy every single week. So we do acupuncture, we do laser therapy, we do hydrotherapy, anything that we can do to kind of manage the pain as much as we can until when we can't manage it anymore is when I'm gonna have to say goodbye to him. So that was my first one that I foster failed with because I just couldn't let him go to anyone else because I fell for him. I also got a German Shepherd about 2 years ago that was purchased from a pet store. And at 8 months, both of his hips were giving out. He was not able to walk without his hips giving out. So he was dumped at the shelter. The owner said he was deformed. So we picked him up. He came to my house. He actually had hip dysplasia on both hips. He had to get FHO surgery on both sides of his hips. So he stayed with me for 6 months while he recovered from the FHO surgery. I paid for therapy, and he still does therapy. I ended up foster failing with him as well. So that's something that I constantly have to watch with him and constantly have to do therapy to make sure that everything's good. So I invest thousands and thousands and thousands into these dogs, and I invest my time and my life into fostering these mill moms, and they're just so broken down when they come to me. It's just, I can't even speak on it. And they come with numbers, they don't even have names. It's just, it's horrible, 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 horrible. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Now we'll move on to council committee reports. Finance committee report.
Okay, let me pull the agenda up here, Krista. The finance committee comprised of Councilman Mudron, Councilman Girl, and myself met prior to this meeting to on the agenda, we had the approval of minutes for the regular meeting of October 17th. We had discussion of firefighter and police pension funds, about the contribution we were going to make into the pension funds in this budget year. Everyone was in agreement. We reviewed the monthly financial report, personnel summary, travel expense reports, and invoices paid report. Found them all to be in order and recommend their approval.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service met today here at City Hall at 4 p.m. On the Public Service Committee is myself, Councilwoman Gavin, and Councilman Dickinson. Generally, all of the items were, basic contracts and change orders that we did review and unanimously approve or recommend for approval to the full council. We did revisit the issue that we discussed yesterday with the City of Joliet Crest Hill stoplight agreement thing. And Mayor, I'm taking a moment to comment now. Okay? And first off, Mayor Solomon, thank you for coming yesterday. And your city manager, I'm sorry, what was your name again? Heather McGuire, thank you for coming. And you shed some new light on it, as did Jim Trisna with the emails that were provided, okay? Now, it doesn't change the position of many of the residents, and of course I represent them, that they feel like they're paying for a mistake that they were against. And that happens in life when you disagree, okay? But I will say this, in my position as District 1 City Councilman, I will officially apologize to the City of Crest Hill that they got caught in the middle of what I have determined to be an in-house problem. I believe you folks talked to our former city manager at the time, Tom Thanis. I believe that you did so in a spirit of trust and faith. And so when he told you, we have an agreement, you counted on that. You planned on it, and you developed your plan to put the stoplight in with the grants and all that. The fact of the matter is, he overstepped his authority. I know that because he gave assurances going back to 2008 up through 2012 and 13 with an IGA, Mayor, you know that, got to be voted on or at least pre-approved by the council through conversations, and that didn't happen. But you guys shouldn't have been in the middle of that. You shouldn't have been in the middle of that. So, yes, I did vote, did switch my position. As somebody I know once used to say as a saying, I ate my peas. And I switched my position because while it was an illegitimate guarantee to be given by our staff member, the former city manager, that's not your problem. And the word of the city, it's our responsibility, council, moving forward, that we make sure that never happens. I know for a fact that it happened because we just voted on it. You know that, Mayor. We just voted on it a month ago, both committee level and then council level. So I have changed my position. I apologize to the village officials, city officials from Crest Hill for being put in the middle of an in-house problem that we will never let happen again. And I apologize to the residents because I do have to support this, because you guys are just as much of a victim of this problem as the residents are. So again, thank you for coming yesterday. You came, you presented yourself and appointed yourself very well yesterday in the spirit of cooperation and peace, and we're gonna move forward with that in the spirit of cooperation. And so I did, like I said, do the homework, and I thank you for the extra information. I thank Jim Trisnett, Mayor, I thank you for calling it forward so that we can look into it. But I needed to explain it as opposed to just voting. So that you guys don't have to sit here any longer during our very long budget meeting. If I'm not gonna be against it, I can't speak for him. I won't speak for everybody and still vote. It's gonna go through. It's gonna go through and we'll take care of it in the House. Our problem is our problem, okay? That's all I have to say. That's my report. Thank you.
Consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on November 6th and the minutes of the council meeting held on November 7th, 2017 stand approved as recorded. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 609-17, regular payroll for September 15th through the 28th, 2017, $3,409,679.28. Council Memo 610-17, regular payroll for September 29th through October 12th, 2017, $3,186,511.68. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. And Council Memo 611-17, disclosable payment IMRF retirement. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 612-17, issuance of a Class B liquor license at 2007 Essington Road. It's recommended Mariana's be issued a Class B liquor license.
So moved. Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under public hearings, the first public hearing is Council Memo 613-17, an annexation of 505 and 507 Lehman Avenue, classification to R2A single-family residential zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This includes the resolution approving the annexation agreement, an ordinance approving the annexation, and the ordinance approving the classification of 505 and 507 Lehman Avenue to R2A single-family residential zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Is there anyone who'd like to address the council on this issue? Mayor, I've got a quick question. Yes. Marty, on these types of agreements, now the property owners for these two parcels, right? They will, obviously get the city sewer and water as needed, but they will pay for that hookup.
Yes.
We won't be giving it to them. Whenever we annex them in, they pay for.
Correct, you have to pay for the hookup.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Let the record show the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt a resolution approving an annexation agreement of 505 and 507 Lehman Avenue, an ordinance approving the annexation of 505 and 507 Lehman Avenue, and an ordinance approving the classification of 505 and 507 Lehman Avenue to R2A single-family residential zoning?
So moved.
Second?
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 614-17, annexation of 30 acres located at 23007 West Mound Road, classification to I-1 light industrial zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement was withdrawn. Council Memo 615-17 is a public hearing regarding an ordinance approving the annexation of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital located at Maple Road and Hubbard Street, classification to RB restricted business zoning, and approval of an annexation agreement. This includes a resolution approving the annexation agreement, an ordinance approving the annexation, and an ordinance approving the classification of the 8 parcels to RB restricted business zoning. This is a public hearing, so comments are in order at this time.
Is there anyone would like to address the council? Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken Yeager. I live in the area of the annexation request. I'd like to take this opportunity to reemphasize some of the key points against the annexation request by Silver Cross Hospital. After serving 20 years in a good but arduous career in the United States Navy, I can tell you, I have never before lived in such an idyllic neighborhood. What does that mean? It is a place where elderly, middle-aged people, and young families alike do not have to be overly concerned about crime. It is a place where homeowners are not bothered by lights from a business. It is a place where children are free to play without worrying about traffic, as there is no park in the immediate area. It is a place where pet owners, like my wife and I, and several others in our community, can walk our dogs in a safe and secure environment. It is a place where there is no blight. It is a place that is extremely quiet, where we are buffered on 2 sides by woodlands. It is a place where hearts can be warmed by the sight of wild animals such as deer, coyote, and foxes emerging from these woods, and admittedly, with a little bit of fear. People bought homes in this area because of the character of this neighborhood. I found this out as I was going around the petition that you guys should have received yesterday. Everything we love about this place, we all call home, will be ruined if any kind of development takes place. This is the map, and I passed these out yesterday, of the area of concern. Right here, everything north of Route 6. On 3 sides of that boundary is an entire, this annexation request sits right smack dab in the middle of the neighborhood. This will be a nuisance for all those living on that boundary. Proponents say the Silver Cross has the right to do what they want with the property, but because it belongs to them. Again, we take issue with that statement. I wasn't going to bring this up, but it came up tonight, and I'll go ahead and say it. Just because it is legal does not make it morally right. And I can't overemphasize this next one. Years ago, the hospital bought the land as the first step of acquiring the neighborhood for the entire neighborhood for expansion of its medical facility. We would not be here today if Silver Cross excelled. We would not be here today talking about this issue if Silver Cross excelled in future planning as it does in providing quality medical care to the community. an entire neighborhood should not have to suffer because of inept planning on a few people at Silver Cross. Proponents say the area cannot be developed without annexation. Dollars should not be the overriding concern here. Silver Cross, again, they no more need the money than anyone here, any of us here needs cancer. Also, I find it very hypocritical of Silver Cross by advertising the quality of care they offer to the community, which again, we don't dispute, but is still willingly was willing to ruin an entire neighborhood. This kind of hypocrisy does not deserve any kind of support,
So
at
you're at the
least in this.
4-minute mark.
I'm sorry?
You're at the 4-minute mark. Can you wrap it up, please?
Okay, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, we truly agree with and appreciate and commend Silver Cross for what it's doing to the old campus. We're simply opposed to the development of the north side of Route 6. Please, put yourselves in our shoes. Would you want to live in a neighborhood that would be ruined by any kind of development? We respectfully request you vote no on the annexation request. Again, please keep in mind the petition that I submitted yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the public hearing?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just want to make this clear. Before you tonight is simply the annexation of the property. If the property isn't in the City of Joliet, the City of Joliet cannot control what happens. Staff knows that. They suggested that the property come in. There's no discussion about development. So, you know, I would ask that it be annexed because it's consistent with staff's trying to do. If that's not the council's request, then it stays in the county. As to Mr. Yeager's concerns, it might be worse if it's in the county in the long run rather than the control of the city. So, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have a question. I was going to ask to table this evening just so that we could get more information on what was discussed yesterday. Did you have any new information about that? Or is it like a no deal?
I have talked to staff. I haven't learned anything else, Councilman Quillman. I will say that the annexation agreement, your ordinance requires an annexation agreement. So there is one. There is no concessions for Silver Cross. It simply comes in, puts a property in your jurisdiction subject to all your ordinances. I can't imagine that there would be any financial provision in there to annex this property in. Again, we were simply here because this staff, I think wisely, thought it would be good to be under the control of the city. So
you've had no discussion with them?
I asked staff what it was. I didn't get a clear answer.
From Silver Cross or from us?
No, from your staff. I had not heard any discussion of that until you brought it up yesterday. As a matter of fact, they have an annexation agreement that could have all sorts of provisions in it. Doesn't mention anything of that nature. And I would suggest that that annexation agreement isn't the proper place for that, Councilman Quillman. This property, if you don't want it annexed, we won't annex it. The hospital isn't looking to do any development at this point or do anything other than cooperate with staff.
Well, it's not that I personally, I'm not speaking for the council, that I'm just looking out for taxpayer money that was spent out of the city to keep Silver Cross here, and that was what was understood at the time. And I know it's been 10 years, and I just thought in good faith, maybe we could recoup some of that money, that was all. And since you didn't know anything about it, I was prepared to table this because we certainly need development on the east side, and this is nothing against Silver Cross Hospital. They've done a fantastic job, they have excellent care, it's nothing like that. I was just looking out for District 4 and the monies that were spent over almost $2 million.
Right, so there have been a lot of discussions about development. This was simply about 5 acres or so that would be good to be under the jurisdiction of the city. I don't know that this would be the appropriate place in that annexation agreement for those provisions.
Mike.
Marty, what is the zoning on these lots now under the county jurisdictions?
I could look. Do you know off the top of your head what they are?
You know what, I don't, Marty, I'm sorry.
But I'm sure whatever zoning it is, the hospital could develop those lots based on what they're zoned for under county ordinances.
Exactly, and I don't think that the hospital would ever actually develop under the county there. They may, at some point in the future, convey it.
Sell them off?
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine they would.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment during the public hearing? Seeing none, let the record show that the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 615-17, which adopts a resolution approving an annexation agreement of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital located at Maple Road and Hubbard Street, an ordinance approving the annexation of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital, and an ordinance approving the classification of 8 parcels near the former Silver Cross Hospital located at Maple Road and Hubbard Street to RB restricted business zoning.
I would still like to table this just because if you haven't talked to them, if there's no communication, they don't know, it doesn't hurt to ask. And it would be only for 2 weeks. And I'm not opposed to it, like I said, but I just thought, what would it hurt to even ask them to do something like that? Or even take the sign down from the ballpark, because Silver has had free advertising for the last year because they are no longer the sponsors of Slammers ballpark, or what's called right now Route 66.
If the councilwoman needs more time and more information, I would second her motion at table. It's not too much to ask.
For clarification for the December 5th council meeting?
Yes.
Been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 615-17 to the December 5th council meeting. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 615-17 is tabled to the December 5th council meeting. Under ordinances, Council Memo 617-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 9, Boards and Commissions, Section 2-288, Ordinances of the City of Joliet Code of Ordinances, amending the responsibilities of the Community Relations Advisory Board. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 618-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 10, Personnel, Division 3, Code of Ethics, Section 2-335, Ordinance of the City of Joliet Code of Ordinances, amending Paragraph B in order to update ordinance regarding nepotism. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Mayor?
Yes.
Would you like to express something? I mean, I'm repeating myself, I suppose, that the ordinance is great. We've tweaked it. We need it. Maybe an ordinance like this would have kept this misunderstanding that unfortunately caused the problem between us and Crest Hill. So it's great that we're tightening this up. But the one part, look, I have 2 kids and a wife. John, you have a wife and several kids. Should not be hired by the city. That's a given. I think that's a no-brainer. But I'm very uncomfortable with, you know, one of these young men here get out of school and they come in here and they get their degree and they're an engineer in the city, and 20 years later, their child can't run because of the sins of the father. That doesn't make sense. That's backwards from an ethics situation. So, you know, if we can have some discussion here, that's fine. Otherwise, you know, whether I get a second or I lose it, I would motion for a table to consider turning that one specific portion of the ethics ordinance. In other words, prohibiting the constitutional right of an individual to run because of what their parents, their grandparents, their sister did, to a very strict requirement that they actually, if they do have an employee here, you know, a relative employee as defined by the ordinance, that they must fill out a disclosure form, just like we do, right, with our financial disclosure forms.
Mayor,
Yes.
maybe I was a little clairvoyant, but I think I anticipated this from Councilman Hug. So I actually came up with, a potential amendment amendment to this. So it would essentially, disallow or allow what you had mentioned. So it would read as follows: the following, and this is a if you want to open your packet, this is the B1 first paragraph. The following relatives of any public official are disqualified from, and then that next clause will be stricken. Again, the following relatives are disqualified from employment during the tenure of office: spouse, child, and then, et cetera, et cetera. The provision, this will be a new sentence. This provision shall not apply to situations where relatives of a public official are employed prior to the appointment, selection, or election of the public official. In other words, after you're elected, you cannot bring on one of your relatives.
That's perfect. Now, and maybe if it's too late, let me know. Couldn't we put in there a requirement for a disclosure form?
Well, I didn't put that. I wasn't that forward thinking.
Okay. I don't know if it's forward or backward. You tell me.
But no. Well, I think
I only printed out a couple copies.
I don't know if personally, if you need a disclosure, I think it'll get vetted during the campaign. But otherwise, I agree with you in the point Councilman Morris made last night. I think this amendment would be appropriate.
Okay, and I'm good with it. Thank you, Marty. You were clairvoyant. If this council or any future council wants to put in this disclosure form, it can be done later. The thing is, I just was not comfortable. Thank you, Marty. Not comfortable prohibiting these young people, if any of their relatives, they can run the city a heck of a lot better than I can, and we're going to stop them from running. So my whole point is, it's still going to preclude elected officials from having their friends and family, if you will, and that's what we're after, right? But it's not going to preclude other people. So,
Getting any ideas about running against it.
Do you live in John's district?
That's right. He does.
All right, with that, I would make a motion to approve with the amendment as outlined by Marty.
And I'm going to read that again for clarification. So this is in the very first clause, B1. The following relatives of any public official are disqualified from employment during the tenure of office: spouse, child, parent, grandchild, grandparent, brother, sister, half-brother, half-sister, aunt, uncle, niece, or nephew, or the spouses of any of them. All relationships shall include those arising from adoption. This provision shall not apply to situations where relatives of a public official are employed prior to the appointment, selection, or election of the public official. And then the rest of it would read the same.
Thank you.
Motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 618-17 with the amendments that the city manager just discussed. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
I can change my vote to aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 619-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Animals and Fowl, Article 1, in general, Section 6-2 and 6-3, and repealing Sections 6-4 and 6-5, ordinances of the City of Joliet Code of Ordinances, amending and updating Animals and Fowl Ordinance to restrict the public sale or giveaway of animals and fowl and the open-air transport of animals. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 620-17, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Animals and Fowl, Article 2, Dogs, Division 2, Sections 6-32, 6-33, and 6-34 of the City of Joliet Code of Ordinances, replacing Division 2 and repealing Division 3. Version A is essentially a restatement of the ordinance which was recently adopted by the City of Chicago. It requires pet stores to acquire dogs which they intend to sell from rescue operations, public pounds, humane societies, and similar operations. Version B defines and bans puppy mills, defines and bans unlicensed breeders, sets a minimum age at which a puppy can be separated from its litter, and incorporates the state statute which regulates from whom a pet store can obtain a dog for resale. It requires pet stores to only obtain dogs from a USDA licensed breeder, a humane society or rescue, or a hobby breeder who is not required to be licensed by the USDA.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just as a reminder, version B had a misprint and the sale or transfer can occur at 8 weeks. And then just recall yesterday, Morgan Durdak made a portion of her PowerPoint and she emailed it last night or this morning along with documents in support of version A. And just as a reminder to the public, in the event that 4 minutes isn't long enough, feel free to provide additional documents or emails as Ms. Durdak provided. And then there was a couple more emails that came through. The Humane Society letter of support, which I think supports version A, and then a letter from the Kennel Club asking for support of version B. And then there are also, again, documents on the dais.
I'll so move for version B be approved for the full council.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve version B for Council Memo 620-17, which defines and bans puppy mills, defines and bans unlicensed breeders, sets a minimum age at which a puppy can be separated from its litter, and incorporates the state statute which regulates from whom a pet store can obtain a dog for resale. It requires pet stores to only obtain dogs from a USDA licensed breeder, a humane society or rescue, or a hobby breeder who is not required to be licensed by the USDA. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
You know, before I kind of cast my vote, I just want to kind of thank our staff for coming up with the version B. I also want to thank Peg Grandall, who also invited me to coffee a couple of weeks ago and really gave me an insight as far as puppy mills and that sort of thing. And I do recognize, you know, the passion of those supporting rescue dogs and that sort of thing. But I do believe that version B kind of best reflects and puts in place eliminating puppy mills and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna vote aye for version B.
Councilman Hug?
You know, and I would thank everybody that came here, no matter what side of the issue you're on, the passion you showed. I think if I asked for a show of hands of who's in favor of stopping puppy mills that are bad, who's in favor? Okay, now who's in favor of having bad puppy mills? See, we're on the same page. The disagreement is on the solution. And I too would agree with obviously Councilman Morris, who made the motion, the second, and Councilman Girl, that B is the right choice for us as a city, that there is a matter of choice, and it doesn't mean that we stop being vigilant to try to stop this. And understand, I've had 5 dogs in my life, current one's 17. He was found abandoned and abused in a Joliet park. My wife called up when I was at work. So we're gonna take this dog home. He's been abandoned, he's abused. We'll keep him until we find the owner. If we don't, maybe we'll go to TLC out in Lockport. And I said, what you mean, Susan, is we have another dog. Okay, and 16 years or 15 years later, we have him. All of my dogs have been rescued either through like TLC or a shelter. We talked about parvo. One dog my family got, meaning my family before I graduated college, got married, moved out. They had him for a week and he died of parvo. He was gotten from a rescue. Parvo can happen to anybody, and parvo can spread very quickly. And it's a very ugly, debilitating, it looks painful until they're almost comatose. And every one of the dogs we've had except one had to be euthanized out of compassion, and our vets told us that. My wife would do that if I wasn't around. Every one of them. 5 dogs, 2 cats. One cat named Mrs. Bates, which was a Hemingway cat. Who knows what a Hemingway cat is? 6 toes, pure white. I was offered $1,000 after I had her 2 years, because it's almost impossible to find a pure white cat with 6 toes. I did not sell it. All of our animals, except for one who died peacefully at home, I brought him in there and I sat there as the drugs were injected. And I'm not afraid to admit, although maybe somebody will run against me and bring this up later, yeah, I did cry every time because it's a family member, but I believe in B, so I vote aye.
Councilman Morris?
I too like to thank the staff and my committee, the legislative committee, for working with everyone and seeing this thing through. Again, Mayor and the full council, but I vote aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Well, it's been a long fight for both sides, but I have a couple things to say. I've been asked if we were to pass this ordinance B, how does that stop the, or ordinance A, excuse me, how does that stop the puppy mills? It stops them one at a time, because if they can't sell their puppy mill dogs to these furry babies or Petland or whatever other businesses out there, they'd have to sell the dogs that, they wouldn't be put out of business. It's not about putting furry babies out of business. It's just giving them a different clientele, if you would. And these would be rescue animals. Or it's not taking away people's right to choose or to purchase. You can purchase from a regular, reputable breeder, and you can still go to the store and get one, but it would be a rescue dog, or you can get it at a rescue place. I mean, it's probably a lot cheaper buying a rescue instead of spending $2,000 to $3,000, or a reputable breeder where you know what you're getting. You still have the right to freedom. We're not taking anybody's right away. It's not about putting anybody out of business. It just became that at the end, because Furry Babies seems to be the only business in town anymore that is selling pets. So it is my choice. I had hoped that this council would have gone with version A, like our neighbors did, Romeoville, Crest Hill, and especially Chicago. And once Chicago won that fight, which was in court for a couple of years, and the courts decided that version A was the way to go, I'm very disappointed that this council is only going with version B. So therefore, I have to vote no.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Version B was approved. Council Memo 621-17, an ordinance approving a local agency agreement for the jurisdictional transfer of 2 segments of Hollywood Road, total of 0.18 miles between Mound Road and US Route 6. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 622-17 is a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement with Crest Hill regarding the installation of traffic signals at the intersection of Gaylord Road and Division Street. You would need a motion to reconsider.
I would make the motion to reconsider.
I would second that.
It's been motioned and seconded to reconsider a previous vote on the intergovernmental agreement. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
I'm going to vote aye, but I only have one comment. You know, there was a lot of people probably working on this project, and the former city manager, Tom Thanis, many staff members, and for whatever reason, it was agreed upon, and I think it was a good decision. But I really don't believe that the city manager was acting above his authority. I think he was acting in the best interest of the city. It's just my opinion. I vote aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Yes, aye.
So the motion carried. It is being reconsidered. So now we do need a motion to approve it.
I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mayor, would you like to comment?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 622-17. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Crystal.
Ray Solomon, Mayor of the City of Crest Hill, 1610 Plainfield Road. To the Mayor and City Council, I would just like to say thank you on behalf of all our residents and your residents for the reconsideration and your vote of confidence and your vote to approve the intergovernmental agreement tonight. I also would like to thank Mayor Odekirk and City Administrator Marty Shanahan and our City Administrator Heather McGuire. When I reached out to ask Mayor Odekirk for a meeting in regards to this issue, we sat down, we discussed the issues. I will say that we all handled it very professionally, very respectfully. And I think that's a perfect example of good government working together. And I'm proud of the fact, this is my 25th year involved with the City of Crest Hill government. I'm proud of the relationship that the city of Crest Hill has with the city of Joliet. And as I said last night, you have my word as long as I am the mayor. We may not always agree in the future, but we will handle things in a very professional and very respectful way, just as we did in this issue. And this is, again, government working well with each other for what is good and what is right for the residents of Crest Hill, Joliet, and all the visitors that are going to pass through that intersection. Just for a point of clarification, the final coat was put down today, so we're just waiting for it to be striped. Weather permitting, we'll see when these traffic signals go up. So it is complete. I urge you to take a ride through there. It's a tremendous improvement to that area, and it's going to make that area much safer for all of our residents to travel through there. So the only other thing I would like to say on behalf of all the residents of the city of Crest Hill, I would like to take this opportunity to wish all of the residents of Joliet a very blessed and happy Thanksgiving. Spend it with your families and be grateful. And we'd also like to extend a very blessed and Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year to all of you, to all of your residents of Joliet. And thank you for your reconsideration tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
Council Memo 623-17, a resolution appropriating funds for the Marion Street, York Avenue Roadway Improvements Project 2017. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved. Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 624-17, supplemental resolution appropriating funds for the 2017 pavement marking program. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 625-17, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a paratransit local share agreement with PACE and to apply for grant funds available under Title 20 of the Social Security Act. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved. Second.
Been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under amendments, change orders, and payments, Council Memo 627-17, approve change order number 3 and payment request number 3 for the Marion Street, York Avenue Roadway Improvement Project 2017. Council Memo 628-17, approve change order number 1 and payout number 1 and final for the Westshire Alley Drainage Improvement Project 2017. Council Memo 629-17, approve change order number 6 and payment number 5 and final for the Osgood Street, 2nd Avenue Roadway Improvements Project. Council Memo 630-17, approve change order number 1 for the 2017 Utilities Electrical Maintenance Service Agreement. Council Memo 631-17, approve change order number 1 for the 2017 Biosolid Disposal Contract. Council Memo 632-17, approve change order number 1 for the Well 11D Removal Project. Council Memo 633-17, approve change order number 1 for the Well 12D Rehabilitation Project. And Council Memo 634-17, approve change order number 1 and payment request number 3 and final for the 2017 pavement marking program. It's recommended Council Memo 627 through 634-17 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
First, I just want to point out, for those that didn't notice, I don't know I've ever seen this before over the last several years, that under award of contracts, we are spending no money tonight on new contracts. There are none. I want to give kudos to my fellow committee members. We worked hard to make sure we didn't spend any money tonight at the end of the year. Am I right? Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Mayor, motion to receive the 2018 city manager's proposed budget would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded to receive the 2018 city manager's proposed budget. Councilman Dickinson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Okay, Mayor, now we need to set some
We do.
times for hearings.
We could have the first meeting next week, I would imagine.
Well, as much as I'd like to set it for that Monday, that's David Hale's first day, so maybe the following Wednesday, the 29th,
Okay. 6:30?
6:30.
Is there a problem with that, anybody?
I'm checking the calendar.
29th?
November 29th at 6:30. So, if we have questions or complaints, do we address you or Mr. Hales?
Oh, Mr. Hales. No, I'll be here.
I'm good.
Everyone good on that?
So do you want to set a second day as well?
Why don't we do that at the next meeting?
Okay.
At the first meeting in December, the 5th?
Yeah.
So the following December 4th, yeah, is the next city council meeting.
Pre-council meeting?
Set another one after that if there's no,
Okay.
we need another one. Okay. Thank you. A couple things. Just, we're confirmed for Monday, December 4th for Riverwalk Homes, 5:30 to 7:30. Holston Development Corporation is hosting a resident meeting at Bicentennial Park. And on Sunday, November 19th, I went to Amazon and they held a special meal celebrating their associates and veterans. General Manager Tom Crut and approximately 300 Amazon associates celebrated veterans. They had a presentation by one of the local high schools' color guard, and Amazon presented Team Red, White, and Blue with a $10,000 donation. And there is a need for a brief executive session, if you're so inclined. That's it.
Next is new business, not for final action or recommendation.
Is this Betty? John? Nothing. Larry?
None, Young.
No.
I just want to invite everybody to the holiday parade Friday. I'm really glad that the Cunningham School is participating. Those youngsters gonna have a real thrill, but it's a great time. So it starts at 5:30 on Friday, right downtown Joliet on Chicago Street. Hope to see everyone out there.
Next is public comments. First, we have Peggy Grandal.
I just wanted to say, first of all, I'm disappointed, but not surprised. I want to personally thank Councilwoman,
Promotion.
yeah, really, Jan, for your support, your never-ending support for the animals in our community. For those that can't speak for themselves, we can never say enough to thank you for all you've done and all that I know you'll continue to do. I'd like to thank all of you for voting for the one ordinance, the protection of the animals being driven around in pickup trucks and whatnot and being held for auction and prizes and that. That's an important piece of legislation, so I'm glad that we were able to accomplish that. Morgan from Safe Pets had given that information to Jan, and I know you worked on that, and we appreciate that. Again, disappointed, but not surprised.
Morgan Durdak.
So as disappointed as I am about the decision with regard to item 6/2017, I would like to thank the council for passing 6/1917. Those are important animal welfare issues for our community, and I appreciate your consideration of those. Finally, I would just like to address some comments that were made tonight by Mr. Hernandez. I would just like to clarify that for years, I begged former Councilman McFarland, who is a cousin of mine, who I knew had previously been a humane investigator, to bring this issue to you. He would not do so until the Evergreen Terrace lawsuit was settled and you would be able to shift your focus. This was not and has never been political grandstanding, as Mr. Hernandez claims. Unlike Hernandez, I, for one, encourage anyone with a passion to make positive change in our world, whether it's animals, people, the environment, or our city streets, to be active and make positive change. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments?
Mayor, members of the City Council, first of all, you have a great passion for animals, and I think that's very well. My remarks about Councilman McFarland was that I was on his committee when he ran for City Council. I sat with him every single Friday at the American Legion 367, in which we discussed many issues. And that was one issue in which he discussed, and his whole sole purpose for supporting an ordinance with respect to pets and puppy mills was for political purposes, to advance his cause. That's one of the reasons why Mr. McFarland and I had a falling out, and I no longer supported him, was because I believe in supporting issues because it's the right thing for the community, because it's the right thing for the people of this city, not to advance someone's personal political agenda. And I think it's very clear from my Facebook page and very clear from all the residents of the city that Mr. McFarland and I were very close friends and that I had supported him. I stopped supporting Mr. McFarland, the former councilman, when he decided it was more important to promote his own political agenda and to use the citizens of Joliet for his own political purposes. And that's why I said what I said. It had nothing whatsoever to do with you or your cause. And I just wanted to say that I wanted to apologize to Pat Mudder, and I forgot to mention that you were at our groundbreaking ceremony for our $19 million development. It was great. Those who came and participated, John Girdle, the mayor, Terry Morris, Councilwoman Gavin. I think you'll all agree it's a tremendous development. It provides housing, mixed housing for low-income families and for middle-class families. And we look forward to our next project. The Housing Authority recently applied to have the Fairview homes demolished so that we can start another phase in bringing affordable housing to our city. I want to thank especially Mayor Oderkirk, Terry Morris, and Councilman Gavin for your strong efforts to make sure that we had minority contractors who were working with this last project. Because of your efforts, we were successful. And Councilman Dickerson, in your short time, you've worked well with us as a liaison to make sure that what we're doing is the right thing. So I thank you for that. I just want to say on behalf of my family, to the mayor and city council, have a nice Thanksgiving. Look forward to seeing you on Friday for our Christmas parade. And whether it's politically appropriate or not, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for your time. I know it's been a long 3 years and a lot of information's come your way, and you guys have made the effort to come out to my store, meet some of my breeders and veterinarians at separate meetings, and I just really, really appreciate your time and allowing me to educate you on my company, and I look forward to continuing to be a proud member of this community with my business. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Next is mayor and council comment. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just one quick notation and
Step up to the mic, please.
sorry.
Thank you.
Just one quick notation. When Furry Babies had put up a couple of pictures up there, and they showed one with the dog and playing in that, and then they showed another one of a hallway, one with cement floors and boarding all along the sides, and the owner said they have nice tile. Okay, that hit me. That was an alarm to me. That actually, how can an owner say they have nice tile? That if I went to Furry Babies and they said, this is your puppy and this is where the mom is, behind those wooden doors and they have nice tile, I would have ran out the door. But I know you guys sincerely thought about what you were doing, and you put a lot of effort into thinking that what you've made is the correct decision. But I'm just mentioning something I just happened to notice, and it put a little bit of the fear of God in me. So, but I think you did the best you thought you possibly could, and thank you.
Anyone else? Mayor and council comments?
Nothing. Eddie?
Yes, just to say that this is the season for giving and being thankful for that. So I wish the residents of our great city of Joliet a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Mayor, same as Councilwoman Gavin, just want to wish you and your family and my colleagues on the city council and all of our residents to have a very happy, safe Thanksgiving.
You thought I lost my voice, didn't you? You're not going to be that lucky. No, I've talked enough tonight. All I'm going to say is happy Thanksgiving to my family, to your family, to the whole Joliet family. That's all.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Home for the Holidays at the Rialto kicked off yesterday. There's a number of movies there. There's one about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday that would finish right when the lighting is going to kick off at 5:15 before the parade starts at 5:30. Hope everyone gets a chance to come down, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
I also wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. Be close to your family because you never know what's going to happen. Life is short and it's very precious. And I also want to thank, I should have done it before, but I got mixed up here. I'd like to thank the city of Crest Hill and Romeoville for passing the dog ordinance of A, because that's the best one. Thank you.
Just echo my colleagues' comments about Thanksgiving and enjoy the day.
I left my list downstairs, so this will be brief, but thank you for all the Veterans Day celebrations throughout the city. Joliet Central does a celebration every year. It's terrific. I know a number of my colleagues were there. The event downtown was well attended by the city council. Once again, that was a great event. And then TZX Funeral Home also holds an event every year, and thank you to all of them. Also, After the Peanut Foundation had a forum with 3 female veterans. It was on Friday afternoon. It was at Gallery 7 in the Rialto building. It was a very good event. So thank you to all of them. I do want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I received a flag, and I know Marty, I've emailed you, from Governor Rauner. It's from the state of Illinois commemorating the 200th birthday of the state of Illinois, which will be December 4th at this year. Governor Rauner is asking the city of Joliet to raise the flag at noon. So Marty, I think we're working on it. We should have some type of event to commemorate this. If we could put that out, do a press release and put that out in the next couple days.
Yeah, we're still working on the location, but I think it's going to be 10:30, and we're trying, or excuse me, 11:30, and we're trying to get the fire department and police.
I'll take it home and iron it.
Sure. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, that's it.
The flag will be freshly ironed.
Yeah.
And then also, Marty, I want to personally thank you for the last 6.5, 7 months as city manager. It's a very difficult job, as I think we all on the council can appreciate. And as mayor, being here every day, I understand how much work that you put in, and Mr. Hawk before you and the other city managers. So I do look forward to David Hales starting on Monday. I know he's already reached out to the council to meet with us individually, but Marty, you did a great job, more than we could have asked for. So thank you very much for all your hard work. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
I feel like I'm retiring.
You're only moving 2 feet.
Maybe.
We'll talk about that on Monday. No, thank you. Happy
After we
Thanksgiving.
see the budget, huh?
Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance, pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
It's been motion and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Girl. Aye. Councilman Hugg.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Dickinson.
Aye.
Motion carried. Oh.